Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. So today we're going to explain what is narrative research design, and me, Dasiral Makfira, as a first speaker, and my friends Nur Asriani as a second speaker. So happy watching, guys. So what is narrative research design, and when is it used, and how did it develop? So, narrative research has emerged as a popular form of qualitative research. It has become a valuable way to study teachers, students, and educators in educational settings. All these individuals have stories to tell about their experience. Narrative inquiries describe the lives of individuals, collect and tell stories about people's life, and write narratives of individual experience. These qualitative studies focus on identifying the experience of single individual or several individuals and understanding their past, present, and future experience. A researcher uses a narrative design when individuals are willing to provide their stories and when their stories follow a chronology. So the next is the type of narrative design. Narrative design is a variation category for a variety of types of narrative studies. This may be biographical narrative, so the researchers write about other person's life based on interview or documents. Autobiographical narrative, so the researchers reflect on their own personal experience and life story, focus on entire lifespan of an individual, often showing how identity develops over time. An oral story collects spoken account about past events, usually involving historical or political topics. And personal narrative center on particular incident of or series of events that hold meaning for the participant. And narrative case study integrates storytelling into case study methodology, focus on a single subject in great depth. And the specific type of narrative study depends on who writes or records the story, how much of a life recorded and presented, who provide the story, and whether a theory is used by the researchers. So the next is the key characteristic of narrative design. Narrative researchers collect stories from individual and retell or restore the participant stories into a framework, such as a chronology of the characters, the setting, the problem, the action, and the resolution of those actions. In addition, the inquirer may gather field texts and form them into terms or categories and describe in detail the setting or context in which the stories are told. Throughout the research process, the researchers emphasize collaboration between the researchers and the participants.
Okay, so the potential ethical issues in gathering stories. Ethical issues may arise at many stages in the process of conducting a narrative study. At the data collection stage, the researcher needs to question whether the story is authentic, determine whether the participant can tell or recall the real story, assess once the story, determine whether the participant voice is included in the final story. Stage the project so that the participant, not the researcher, gains as a gains as a result of the research. Consider the relationship of participant and researchers and be cognizant of the lasting impact of the story that is told. Next, steps in conducting a narrative study. The steps in conducting a narrative study are to identify a problem suite for narrative research and to select one or more participants to study. The researchers then collect stories from the participant about his or her life experience and retell the story to form a chronology of events that may include the characters, setting, problem, action, and resolution. Throughout this process, collaboration occurs with the participant and the story composed by the researcher tells of the participant's life experience. Next, evaluating a narrative study. A good narrative study reports the stories of lived experiences of an individual organizes them into a chronology situates them within the setting or context. They revise several themes that the stories address and demonstrates a close collaboration in the narrative project between the researcher and the participant.
Okay, so thank you guys. That's all our explain about the narrative research design. I hope you enjoy and thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.